Ladies and gentlemen, once more, with feeling. What's happening, everybody? Justin, Bridgewater's finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter, fueled as always by the incredible folks at Nerd Tees, and we made it. We made it to the 108th Grey Cup after not playing a damn down of football last year. We got through a slightly abbreviated season and one that really looked different from a lot of other seasons we've seen in the CFL. But the point is, we're here. We played a CFL season, and now we will crown a CFL champion. And that's the main thing. The 108th Grey Cup will be contested this Sunday on Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton, where the hometown Hamilton Tiger Cats will play host to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, a team that, for most of this season, I think most of the fan base across the CFL pretty well understood that they would be in this spot. Hamilton, it was a little dicey here and there. A lot of people looked at Toronto, a lot of people looked at Montreal, but Hamilton and their lockdown defense has gotten the job done so far in these playoffs, and they get rewarded with a hometown chance at a once-in-a-lifetime Grey Cup. Solid results for yours truly in the divisional round, the East and West Division Finals. 2-0 straight up. This is the Grey Cup that I predicted. Hamilton beating Toronto and Winnipeg beating Saskatchewan. Winnipeg made things interesting there in that first half. Certainly we're very rusty, and we'll talk about that as we go. But 2-0 straight up last week. This is the Grey Cup that I called last week. Against the spread and over-under, I was even money, 1-1 in both of those cases, so 4-2 on the two games last week. Overall for the playoffs, I'm 7-5, and that includes going 3-1 straight up in these playoffs. I've only gotten one straight up game wrong, so I certainly feel good about the results in the playoffs. It's 58.33%. It's not mind-blowing, but I'm certainly comfortable with where we're at. CFL Fantasy was kind of a mixed bag in the divisional round. I, of course, went with a relatively controversial, I think, no QB perspective on fantasy last week. I just thought there were money pits. And for the most part, I think that wound up being correct, unless you somehow had the prescience to play Dane Evans, which I don't think most people did. Unless you played him because his cost was very low. I didn't think any of the quarterbacks were worth the money that they were going to cost, and I think by and large that wound up being true. I did put up 44.2 points on my roster last week, so obviously it's not a great week, but when you only have 5 players rostered, I certainly could have done worse. Evidenced by the fact that I did move up 558 spots overall across the CFL fantasy game, moving up to 2,137th so far in these playoffs. I did move up 2 spots as well in the official Atlantic Schooners League. My MVP from the East and West Division Finals was Winnipeg wide receiver Rasheed Bailey. He puts up 15.4 fantasy points, only caught 3 balls for 56 yards, but one of those 3 catches was a touchdown, so that definitely pumped the number up there. Was good for my MVP from the division final round. My Grey Cup lineup, as I did last week, you're gonna have to go to the end of the episode in order to see that. I don't want to give away how I'm going for the game until I get a chance to talk about it. So before we get to talk about the game, I'm going to plug my great friends and sponsors at Nerd Tees. Nerdtees.ca, folks, is where you need to go. You're probably too late for Christmas at this point, but hey, 2022, it's a new year. Even if you're not a tea person, if you will, there's never a better time to try something new, and you can do that on nerdtees.ca. You're going to want to use my promo code, which is BWFinest. That's going to save you 15% at checkout. You're also going to get free shipping on any order in Canada over $100. And if you're in the US, you're going to get a great conversion rate on the US dollar. And folks, today I'm sharing with you my final cup of blueberry tea. I've officially run out of this blend. It is very quickly, very rapidly becoming among my favorite blends at Nerd Tees, and it's a special day, it's a special video. Thought I'd share my last cup of blueberry with you. Nerdtees.ca, use that promo code BWFinest. You're going to save your 15%, get your free shipping in Canada, find yourself something to love, or find someone you love something to love. You can do it on nerdtees.ca. Cheers. All right, Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Hamilton Tiger Cats. Here we go, and we can look at this through the lens of a team playing at home. I mean, look, this is a great situation if you're Hamilton. It is exactly the situation that you wanted when it was first announced that Hamilton would be hosting this Grey Cup. You immediately started picturing yourself there. The Blue Bombers 12-3 on the season, picking up the win obviously last week. I think it was 21-17 in the West Final against Saskatchewan. Like I said, Winnipeg certainly did not look like Winnipeg for the vast majority of that game. Hamilton now 10-6 on the season, winners of 3 straight games. So don't look now. Hamilton is playing hot. They are playing really good football lately. These two teams did meet once in the regular season. It was all the way back in week 1. Very first week of the season. I think I took Hamilton to win that game. I think it was an upset, but that did not happen. Winnipeg pulled out a 19-6 win. That game was in Winnipeg, and right then and there, you look at Hamilton and you go, oh boy, is this the team that everybody thought they were going to be? Over the last 4 games, Winnipeg even money at 2-2 and even money in the scoring at 20-20. Of course, that includes those last 2 losses in the regular season in games that didn't really matter because they had everything locked up, so they were resting a bunch of starters. Hamilton 3-1 in their last 4 games, outscoring opponents by 6 points on average, 22-16. Obviously, this is not a divisional game, so we have to look at results from outside of the respective divisions. So for Winnipeg, against East Division opponents this year, Bombers were 3-2 on the season. One of those losses came early. That was the loss early in the season to the Argos, I believe it was. So one of those games was that. They did outscore opponents on average 21-18 in those games against the East Division. Against the West Division, Hamilton 4-2 on the year, also an outscoring their opponents by an average score of 21-18. So the average scores in those games, dead even. Like I said, home and away, this game taking place in Hamilton, so let's look at those records. All 3 of the Blue Bombers' losses this year came away from their home building. They're only 4-3 on the road this year. That does include those 2 losses in games that didn't really mean too much, but it also included the loss to Toronto early in the season. They did outscore their opponents in those games by an average score of 24-18. So yeah, they were only 1 game over 500, but their wins tended to be fairly big ones. Hamilton at home 6-2 on the season now, including the home playoff game earlier against Montreal, outscoring opponents 26-15 on Tim Hortons Field. It's a pretty decent margin. Look, the biggest edge here for the Blue Bombers, it's virtually everything. It's almost every measurable in one way or another, even if it's only marginal. By almost every measurable, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are the better football team. With careful play, this is their football game to lose, and there's nothing to be lost by admitting that. You got to look at it. You got to look at one team, you look at the other team. You know this team is the better team. The numbers bear that out in almost every area. As far as Hamilton goes, this is where this game's going to be decided. Their biggest edge, their biggest advantage in this game, it's not measurable. It's not on a stat sheet. You're not going to find it in the numbers anywhere. The only place you're going to find it is in the seats of Tim Hortons Field, a Grey Cup at home. That is their biggest edge. That is what they have to lean on. And those fans, yes, there's going to be fans from all over the country coming into that game, but those Ticats fans in a sold out, and it is officially sold out Tim Hortons Field have to be deafening. They have to give their team every advantage that they possibly can, because that's the team they're up against. Bombers, like I mentioned last week, rusty. They cannot play the same kind of game that they played against Saskatchewan last week. 6 turnovers in that game, and I understand that the weather obviously played a pretty significant role in this, but 6 turnovers, including 3 interceptions from Zach Collaros, who might win Most Outstanding Player tonight. The rust is undeniable, but Andrew Harris was undeniable in that game as well. 24 touches of the football, 145 all-purpose yards, I believe 136 of them coming as rush yards. He had a rush touchdown as well. He was unstoppable in that game. He looked like the Andrew Harris of old, looked like the best version of Andrew Harris that we've seen almost all season. You know he's beat up, but look, this could be his last shot. We talked about it last week. This could be his last shot. Maybe this is his last game I mean, it's entirely like I don't want to speculate on anything that I don't know about, but you look at his age, you look at how long he's been playing football, this might be it. And the fact that he could play like that in a playoff game in awful weather conditions and put up a performance like that, it's a testament to how incredible he really is. So far in their 2 playoff games, the Ticats have outscored opponents 50-31. So that's an average of 25 to 15, 16 points. It's 2 possessions, one way or the other. And on defense, they have been spectacular. 9 quarterback sacks. They've forced 5 fumbles in their 2 playoff games. 12 pass knockdowns. They've also generated an interception. The real question, it's not the defense. It is certainly not the defense. The question is, can Dane Evans win a Grey Cup? You put the name Jeremiah Masoli on the marquee, and you know that that guy is capable of winning the big game. Dane Evans has not had the opportunity to prove that yet. So it has to be a question mark coming in. Can Dane Evans win on a stage like this? He was perfect last week, 16 for 16. An incredible performance coming off the bench. He ain't coming off the bench in this game. It's the Grey Cup. It is the championship game. It is at home, and you're the starting quarterback. You know that they are preparing for you. The question is, once again, can Dane Evans win a Grey Cup? We'll find out on Sunday. Obviously, one of the biggest storylines in this game is like a home field Grey Cup against the better team is a nightmare scenario for that better team. Winnipeg would rather be playing anyone else in the league in this game than Hamilton, simply because that's where the game is. But where the game is does not change who the better team is. That's the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and that's who I'm taking to win the Grey Cup. I've got Winnipeg beating Hamilton in Hamilton, Winnipeg winning their 2nd consecutive Grey Cup. It's going to be a very tight football game, but I've got the Bombers prevailing. I just think they're the better team. Now, on the line, Winnipeg is laying 3 points here as the Grey Cup favorite. This is not a good hedge, but I am going to hedge. This is how close I think this football game is going to be. I'm going to take Hamilton +3, despite the fact that I'm not taking them to win the game. So I'm going to take those 3 points. Winnipeg is under 500 against the spread away from home this year. I think Hamilton is 6-2. I think like their straight up record, including the playoff game, I think they're 6-2 against the spread at home this year. So I think this game's going to be close enough that I'm actually going to take the 3 points, even though that is on the highest end of what I would call a small price to pay on the team I think is going to win. Total in the game set at 44 points. I'm going to stick under on it because the CFL has been, to quote my good friend TK, an under city this year. And the 2 teams are only combined 9-21-1 to the over this year. So betting the over for either of these teams was a money pit. They're 5-9-1 to the over situationally, that being Hamilton at home, Winnipeg on the road. So we're going to stick under the 44 points here. Winnipeg 17, Hamilton 16. I think this is going to be a kicker's game. Field position is going to be paramount. And I think Winnipeg wins the game on a last-second field goal. Their special teams have been much maligned all season long, but I think that's how they get it done. There you go, folks. There is my pick for the 108th Grey Cup game taking place just 48 hours from now on Sunday in Hamilton at Tim Hortons Field. I've got the Winnipeg Blue Bombers repeating as Grey Cup champions 17-16 over the Hamilton Ticats. So I got Winnipeg straight up. I'm taking the 3 points on the Hamilton Tiger Cats in a game that stays under 44 points. Ladies and gentlemen, it goes without saying, but this has been obviously a weird year in this league. Going from, are they even going to play this year, to, oh my God, we got through a whole regular season, to now, oh my God, it's already Grey Cup time. And it's been a unique season, a special season. It's been a lot of fun. I've felt like the underdog all year long because of how I started the year and how I just with my picks personally had to claw myself out of that deficit. And hopefully a lot of you have been here for that entire ride. So you've seen the ups and downs and the grind of this whole thing. And I'm so insanely appreciative of all of you. I really am. Even if you've only watched a couple of it, even if this is the first time you've ever seen me, you've shown me that support now for this being my third season covering the CFL. And by the way, yes, I will be back next year. If there is a league, I will be here. So there's no question about that I will be covering this league in 2022 and hopefully a long time beyond that. I love covering this league. I love this Canadian game, this unique little Canadian game that we have. I love it. I love you. I love my boys in the CFL chat. I got nothing but love for everybody in this community. It means the world to me to cover this league, and we'll be at it again next year for sure. That's it for me. Justin, Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter, fueled as always by the incredible folks at NerdTees. And once again, I share my last cup of blueberry with you. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy Grey Cup 108. We'll see you next year.